Econic represents something that solves environmental problems through common ideas in a novel way. It grabs attention not only through formal means, but by the technologies it utilizes.
Econic is also a way of performing basic educative functions by incubating and exhibiting a contemporary way of life.
Following the pedagogy of the studio, we were starting with 9 images that would actually inspire our explorations in space.
So the first series is just representing the idea of human energy and of being able to see the result of the energy that's being produced by yourself and machines. So attraction became a big issue with our project because in order to be iconic, it has to be reached by a wide audience. And so we approached this through a very simple method of using the senses, and the senses through varying scales, being vision, seeing the site from far away and being attracted, sound, coming closer and hearing the sounds of people enjoying the space, and then once you're actually in the space, the tactile sense, the smell, the touch, and the experience.
We also looked at natural forms that are created from flow, one being the cavernous shapes of ice caverns, and another being very fluent shapes of fig trees, and also sinuous shapes of coastal dunes in Brazil.
Our concept of econic is comprised of 3 main elements: human interaction, community attraction, and spatial qualities.
So we wanted to introduce human power into our architecture,
so that by people actually visiting the site, they would be creating the energy that makes the architecture function.
They can actually see the results they're creating, and this just became our idea of a central program of fitness center.
We began to think about ways that we could actually harness the energy through mechanical means. The first of which seems like is a direct translation to mechanical energy through the use of equipment such as rotary bicycles or Stairmasters.
And we also have a new idea of using lane markers and swimming pools to capture wave energy that people are creating.
In addition to these 2, we researched an energy called piezo energy, which harnesses the vibrations of movement on the floor. And so within the fitness center would be an aerobic room that would harness this motion energy.
This is a rather proactive idea that actually can be applied to treadmills even, and also we can even expand it to the roof surface of our building. We are trying to list out different situations of water around the site, and one of them is wastewater filtration. And this came from the current highly polluted situation of the Guanabara Bay. And there is actually an initiative of actively cleaning out wastewater and releasing it to the Guanabara Bay. And there are already 11 plants running for that, and we want to add another one inside our building.
To help alleviate the polluted condition that exists.
Mm-hmm. So, and also these are very rigid structures that are not really changing. So we got this idea of using this as a foundation and structure for our building.
So Rio, being in a tropical climate, receives a lot of rainfall each year, actually 5 inches a month, and in the summer times the streets actually flood, and so we wanted to take advantage of this characteristic and deal with the current issue of clean water in Rio, and take this runoff and rainwater and filter it down through a series of ponds passively, purify it through what we have proposed as a new technique using ozone to purify the water, and then reissue this water and translate it into potable water for the public.
The filtered water would be stored at the end of the sequence as a clean water reservoir, which has capacity of actually supplying water for 800 people every month. We drew our form of inspiration from actual natural situations in Brazil, One of them is the coastal dunes in the northern part of Brazil, which was actually a very stunning image that we came across, and we wanted to integrate it into our architecture. And it's a way of introducing aquifers, water inside aquifers, onto the surface, which has an analogy to our program.
After our concept was further developed, we actually found out that it became an historical reference because the area of Rio was once a giant lagoon.
Yeah, and also gave us the product title.
Right. Beyond the functionality aspects of purifying water and its necessity for life, it also creates an amazing atmosphere and aesthetic effect. And so we want to take advantage of this through three main means. One being this underground landscape that provides refuge for people. It's a quiet place. It's basically a sheltered park, underground park.
And another would be the surface water pool, which is actually water from the Clearwater Reservoir. And it's kind of a place that you can hang out and enjoy yourself. In Rio, there were a lot of spaces around the city that were intended as parks, but not as well utilized. And we wanted some element that actually pulls people together.
And then after our space was developed and inspired the idea of a theater, it lent itself well to its qualities. And so we have this outdoor space that can bring community together and also witness this spectacle of water when there's high flow can rush over and become an atmospheric waterfall.
So the two main programs, one being the fitness center and another being the theater, these two become the iconic spaces. One is more eco, one is more iconic.